Some people say to the Knights Templar.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, DarkDox Digest. DarkDox Digest. DarkDox Digest. DarkDox Digest.
Welcome to the April 21st, 2025, Monday edition of the DarkDox Digest with your host, Christian Coffins.
DarkDox Digest. DarkDox Digest.
Welcome back to DarkDox Digest. I am your host, Christian Coffins. It is April 21st, and it's a Monday, and we are going to be talking about the lab leak. And I am back in the living room. Our experiment of being in the Sacred Owl studio was worthwhile, but my back's feeling much better after some R&R over the weekend. Thanks for asking. And we are going to go ahead and jump into the White House lab leak. The Pope died at 88. Is that a call out to Heil Hitler? You know, you conspiracy theorist over there on the left. I don't know, maybe. But it's good to be back here at
DarkDox.
That's right. Let's open that freaking display capture. Oh yeah, wait. So we're doing some funny stuff live because I had to switch things around so you get a behind the scenes look. And right now I'm in the infinity sphere. You can see that my hands can just go on forever. Look at that. But no, I actually have to change the display capture from this screen to that screen and click OK. And it's a different resolution, so that means I gotta do that. And just like that, I am back over here in the normal real world. So link in the description, whitehouse.gov/lab leak, true origins of COVID-19. The proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2 publication, which was used repeatedly by health officials and the media to discredit the lab leak theory, which we were covering here at DarkDox and InfoWars and No Agenda all along, because that's what the boots on the grounds were. The boots on the grounds are never wrongs. Was prompted by Dr. Fauci to push the preferred narrative that COVID-19 originated naturally. So the guy who was behind creating it in gain-of-function research with the National Institute of Health and moving it over to Wuhan from North Carolina, when they were like, you got to stop doing it. It's a bad look, bro. We got laws here in the U.S. You can't be doing that. Well, now it's coming out as a lie. I think it's treason. Wood chipper. 1. The virus possessed a biological characteristic that is not found in nature. So, there you go. Data shows that all COVID-19 cases stem from a single introduction into humans, which is very unusual. For typically, there's not like a patient zero typically. Yeah, it's unusual. Typically, you actually have several patient zeros. Data shows that all COVID-19 cases, single introduction. This ruins the contrary to previous pandemics where there were multiple spillover events. Wuhan is home to China's foremost SARS research lab, which has a history of conducting gain-of-function research, gene-altering and organism supercharging at inadequate biosafety levels. There's constant reports of like, oh, lab leak. There's always a lab leak. And at a certain point, you're like, you guys are doing this on purpose, I think. Wuhan Institute for Virology researchers were sick with COVID-like symptoms in the fall of 2019, months before COVID-19 was discovered at the wet markets. By nearly all measures of science, there is evidence of a natural origin would have already surfaced but hasn't. Here's the map. I'm going to turn myself off for a second here. So here's China, and 7 miles away from the Hunan seafood market where they claim the COVID-19 pandemic originated. It's only 7.5 miles away from the Wuhan Institute of Virology here in Wuhan. You can download the House Oversight Report here. And this is a terrible place for your social media sharing buttons, White House, because you're blocking the, do better. And it's funny because it's only on this page, I think, right? It's not on the rest of the WhiteHouse.gov website. So fail, web designer. Proximal origin publication. The proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2 publication was used repeatedly by public health officials and the media to discredit the lab leak theory, was prompted by Dr. Fauci to push the preferred narrative of COVID-19 originating in nature. Gain-of-function research. A lab-created incident involving gain-of-function research is most likely the origin of COVID-19. Current government mechanisms for oversight this dangerous gain-of-function research are incomplete, severely convoluted, and lack global applicability. EcoHealth Alliance, Inc., is under the leadership of Peter Daszak, used U.S. taxpayer dollars to facilitate dangerous gain-of-function research in Wuhan, China, after select subcommittee released evidence of EcoHealth violating terms of its National Institutes of Health grant. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services commenced official debarment proceedings and suspended all funding to EcoHealth. I mean, this sounds like the Umbrella Corporation, and in Resident Evil. New evidence also shows that the Department of Justice has opened an investigation into EcoHealth pandemic-era activities. How's that going? NIH failures. The National Institute of Health procedures for funding and overseeing potentially dangerous research are deficient, unreliable, and pose a serious threat to both public health and national security. Further, NIH fostered an environment of promoted evading federal record-keeping laws, as seen through the actions of Dr. David Morin's and FOIA lady Marge Moore. And of course, as I was harping 7 days ago in Sarasota, Florida, outside of a building where Anthony Fauci was speaking to Sarasotans, is if Anthony Fauci did nothing wrong, why did he need an executive grant of clemency from Joseph R. Biden? Why did he need a pardon if he did nothing wrong? A full and unconditional pardon for any offenses against the United States which he may have committed or taken part in from January 1st, 2014. Remember that date, people. HHS obstruction. The Biden administration, HHS, engaged in a multi-year campaign of delay, confusion, and non-responsiveness in an attempt to obstruct the select subcommittee investigation and hide evidence that could incriminate or embarrass senior public health officials. It appears that HHS even intentionally under-resourced its component that responds to legislative oversight requests. So this is typical, they just like the Lahaina fires, we just stopped trimming all the trees around the lines about, a year before. Budget cuts, we didn't do the repairs that were required for the water pipes leading up to the fire hydrants. So there's no water. We didn't fill the reservoirs. We were too concerned about an invasive species of fish. So we didn't do these repairs. You see how, like, this is the modus operandi of the bureaucrat party in order to have, like, oh, we didn't, it was just it was a coincidence, it was an accident. They have plausible deniability through neglect. But when you have plausible deniability of neglect in being a parent, they'll arrest you. They'll put you behind bars, for involuntary manslaughter of your child if you leave them unattended. But yet we can do this with our country. I think not. There need to be consequences. So Dr. David Marins, Dr. Fauci's senior advisor, Dr. David Marins, deliberately obstructed the Select Subcommittee investigation, likely lied to Congress on multiple occasions, unlawfully deleted federal COVID-19 records, and shared non-public information about NIH grant processes with Equal Health President Dr. Peter Daszak. I mean, if he's just laying this all out for us and there's not arrest, like, what are we doing? But that seems unlikely, so I'm vaguely optimistic. New York obstruction in the New York Executive Chamber, led presently by Governor Kathy Hochul, redacted documents, offered numerous illegitimate privilege claims, and withheld thousands of documents without apparent legal basis to obstruct the Select Subcommittee's investigation into former Governor Cuomo's pandemic-era failures. And then they link to breaking news, COVID-19 lab leak theory cover-up probe from Forbes. And that's, it's the end. I think it's like 2 hours and 14 minutes.
The COVID-19 pandemic was one of the worst public health crises that our country has ever faced. We lost more than 1 million Americans to the virus, family members and neighbors, friends and colleagues, and millions more died around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a once-in-a-generation event that not only threatened our public health, but also created unprecedented challenges to our economic and homeland security, as well as our very way of life. As Americans navigated the COVID-19 pandemic, they endured changing healthcare guidance, uncertainty and misinformation about how to best protect themselves and their families from this deadly virus. Today's hearing is intended to examine the available scientific evidence related to the virus that causes COVID-19 and provides some transparency to Americans who are continuing to have to navigate their exposure to the virus. As chairman of this committee, I led an investigation into the federal government's initial pandemic response. The report was called Historically Unprepared and included recommendations on how we can ensure that we're better prepared to prevent and respond to future pandemics. This March, I also launched a bipartisan biosecurity and life science research investigation with Ranking Member Paul to look into a wide range of constantly evolving biological risks and threats to better enhance our preparedness for future incidents. This morning, we're going to hear from academic experts who can discuss how COVID-19 pandemic may have started and how we can learn from this outbreak to better address future potential infectious disease outbreaks and protect human life. Better understanding of the possible origins of COVID-19 pandemic is not only important to our public health, it is also a matter of homeland security. We must learn from the challenges faced during this pandemic to ensure we can better protect Americans from future potential biological incident. Our government needs the flexibility to determine the origins of naturally occurring outbreaks, as well as potential outbreaks that could arise from mistakes or malicious intent. All that said, the history has shown us it is seldom simple or straightforward to identify the singular cause of an infectious disease outbreak. It can take months or years to pinpoint an origin, and in some cases, we may never find the answer. This is also the case with COVID-19. There are theories that indicate that COVID-19 began either by entering the human population through an entirely natural means or possibly through a lab incident or accident. Given the likelihood that the Chinese government may never fully disclose all the information they have about the initial COVID-19 outbreak, we must use the scientific information available to better prepare for future potential pandemics. We must not only examine the scientific information we have.
So yeah, like I said, it's 2 hours and 14 minutes. I actually haven't even watched the whole thing, to be honest, but I remember watching a good half of it when it came out. That was June 18th, 2024. To give you a little bit of context, a little taste. The World Health Organization's response to the COVID-19 pandemic was an abject failure because it caved to pressures from the Chinese Communist Party and placed China's political interests ahead of international duties, or was it by design? Further, see, that's why we got to be careful about, we can't just we don't know that, but maybe they know something, I don't know. But I mean, everything has told me so far that the World Health Organization, with their roundtable, the SPARS pandemic that came before the COVID-19 roundtable, I mean, it just seemed like predictive programming. They even how they would censor accounts on social media. You can watch that whole look up SPARS, and they did a really good analysis on BANNED.VIDEO. See if we can pull up that link and throw it in the description. SPARS. Yeah, I think this is the very first link. Yep.
Trilogy is one of the most incredible super nutrient.
So yeah, this is like an hour and a half long, and I mean, they break it all down.
CBS, real time.
Look how much weight he's lost. It's fantastic.
Read these highlights.
Facebook about
But yeah, definitely check that out. I'm gonna put that link right up below the embed. And yeah, if you got a website, throw that embed code on there, because I update that with every episode, so that way you always got something fresh on your website. Help bring people to the show by just simply embedding that link right there, playlist. Go ahead and save that. And if you like what we do, CASH.APP/DarkDox. So yeah. Social distancing. The 6 feet apart social distancing recommendations, which shut down schools and small businesses across the country, was arbitrary and not based on science. During closed-door testimony, Dr. Fauci testified that the guidance, quote, sort of just appeared. Doesn't sound very scientific at all. Mask mandates. There was no conclusive evidence that masks effectively protected Americans or anyone from anywhere in the world from COVID-19. Public health officials flip-flopped on the efficacy of masks without providing American scientific data, causing a massive uptick in public distrust. So I would like to take a moment and go ahead and accept all of your apologies for everyone that gave me a hard time for not wearing a mask during that entire psychological operation. All of the names you called me, all of the accusations of how many grandmothers I killed and how many people I don't care about because I simply can't wear a mask. It will give me a panic attack because I have a condition. And you guys said I was lying, which is shaming a handicapped person, and Spirit Halloween for finding a loophole and pretty much committing fraud to get me fired because they had no good reason other than I just could not wear a mask. So I accept your apologies because you guys were so wrong about that. Lockdowns. The prolonged lockdowns cause immeasurable harm to not only the American economy, but also the mental and physical health of Americans, with a particularly negative effect on younger citizens. Rather than prioritizing the protection of the most vulnerable populations, federal and state government policies force millions of Americans to forego crucial elements of the health and financially sound life. New York pandemic failures. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's March 25th order, which forced nursing homes to accept COVID-19 positive patients, was, quote, medical malpractice. Absolutely. I mean, is he even a doctor? Why is he making such rules? And aren't the elderly the most vulnerable? Why would you put them in with the sick? Unless you were trying to kill them. Evidence shows that Mr. Cuomo and his administration worked to cover up the tragic aftermath of their policy decision in an apparent effort to shield themselves from accountability. Evidence suggests Mr. Cuomo knowingly and willfully made false statements to the select subcommittees on numerous occasions about material aspects of New York's COVID-19 nursing home disaster. The ensuing cover-up, the select subcommittee referred to Mr. Cuomo to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. He really does need to be behind bars. I mean, it's literal mass murder. When you take the responsibility as a public official, you take on the duty that every decision you make that affects people's lives, you're accountable. You're liable legally, and not just ethically, not just morally, but legally. You're accountable. COVID-19 misinformation. Public health officials often misled American people through conflicting messaging, knee-jerk reactions, and a lack of transparency. Most egregiously, the federal government demonized alternative treatments and disfavored narratives such as the lab leak theory in a shameful effort to coerce and control the American people's health decisions. When those efforts failed, the Biden administration resorted to outright censorship, coercion, and colluding with the largest social media companies to censor all COVID-19 related dissent. And that's about when I got kicked off of all the platforms for simply saying, hey, we have NIH studies that, he doesn't even pay me, and they're going out of business because of probably stuff like this. But triolife.com is still up and running, and they still do have a supply of the vitamin, mineral, and essential fatty acid. And you can look up here in the resources. You can just search for NIH. Nope, not me. Sorry. NIH. Let's see if that comes up. Weight of the nation. No. Let's see. Study. VM study. I think it's in the background information. But there's an NIH study on here. It's linked to it anyway. I'm going to have to find it and put it in the next episode because, yeah, things have moved around a little bit on the website. But they have all the background information, effects, and efficacy for every single ingredient in their formula. But their EFAs, the essential oils, they pretty much kill the corona virus's envelope. The spike proteins, when they're smothered in this oil in your bloodstream, they can't survive. So it's one of the side effects of just taking that essential fatty acid is that it kills anything with the spike protein, including coronaviruses. So then they have the coronavirus pandemic subcommittee. So it's a nice format. I like how they're doing this. It's a nice little package. It's very digestible for people that don't know any of this stuff. And yeah, so that about does it. You can read the whole subcommittee here, and link in description for that. But I'm really glad they're putting all of this out. I hope that it leads to arrests. I imagine what the goal here is to kind of spoon feed the stuff that we've known all along, that have been following this all the time, since 2020, 2019. And yeah, so hopefully they're just trying to get the word out there, so when these arrests come, people don't freak out. They're going to freak out anyway, and it doesn't matter if they freak out or not. Like, these people are guilty, the evidence is there, and they need to be held accountable. We need to have military tribunals for treason, and we need stiff penalties. And penalty for treason is death. If he wants to be nice and send them to another country, that's not my style, the way I'd do it. Because they can just always, they're going to let them out, and then they're going to come back over here. So what are we doing? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. If you're on BitChute, we are DarkDox. If you're on Rumble, we are DarkDox. And definitely check out Friday's episode with Captain Charlie Bravo. And on X, we are Sacred Owls Unite. On Facebook, we are Christian X Coffins. And join the DarkDox network. So, what do we got here? It's 8:30. If you like what we do, you can support us by going to thealexjonesstore.com/DarkDox, and we get 10% of any profits from anything that you buy over there, and greatly appreciate it. I'm a huge fan. I've been using this methylene blue for 2 weeks now, and it's just good, clean focus and energy with no letdown. Like, seriously, it's not like coffee. It's a very different thing, and on a molecular level, it helps repair broken mitochondria. Do your research on methylene blue. This is the strongest, cleanest, and it has a nice vanilla and mint flavor to it. It's very subtle. It's not sweet at all, but some methylene blue has a weird taste to it. It's just the natural, like what methylene blue, it has a taste to it. So they have a nice measurement, a nice amount that it just kind of coats any weird. I've never tried any, so I don't know. I can't compare it, but yeah. Also, the Save the Frog collectible fundraiser plush, some tongue twister, is back in stock, and it's $29.95. It's gone down a couple bucks. It was $35 last week, and you can get it paired up with an Alex Jones Was Right jar for $44.99. Very cute idea there. They still have some of these silver coins. CMOS gummies are back in stock. I tried for the first time today the Ultimate Burn, so I'll let you guys know how that's working out. But you take one of those before any big meal. I'm just going to take it once a day. But it says you can take it up to 2 times a day. So if you want to do it before lunch and before dinner, it uses calorie burn and glucovantage to burn the calories more efficiently than if you didn't take it. They also have a limited edition classic Molon Labe Infowars belt buckle, which is pretty cool. I might get that. They also got t-shirts. The She-Legit complex is fantastic. I've been taking that for over a month now. They have some new shirts. Taxation is theft. In the Fed. Born free. Taxed to death, with a very vicious tiger on there. If you trust the government, you don't know history. I like that shirt. We will keep our God, our country, and our Constitution. That looks pretty rad. And so this shirt's, for example, $29.75. But if you're a VIP member like I am, it's only $30 a month. You get $40 in store credit, and then the VIP club price for this is $23.80. So if you spend $30, you will not only get this shirt for $23.80, but you have $40 to spend. So you could buy 2 shirts and then only pay a couple bucks for shipping, or get that and some supplements, so you can cancel anytime. You also get access to the Alex Jones lost tapes from 2001 to 2008. which has all of the, the end of the Bush administration and pretty much all of the Obama years. So that's pretty fantastic. All the interviews, all the 9/11 coverage. I mean, that was really the golden age of InfoWars. If you never listened to those shows back then, do yourself a favor, join the VIP club, download all those links. And, when you're going for a run or a long drive and you've listened to all the other podcasts and you've caught up with all of your DarkDox digests, you can jump into some of the classic Alex Jones. All right. So, we're going to do a little new thing. It's going to be links from the emails today. So we already did the lab leak. Let's see. We got a Reese report. We'll skip whitehouse.gov today because we were on there the first half of the episode. So I'll pick up on that tomorrow. But we'll see what's going on at doge.gov. We'll see if Doge Quest is still up. And we're going to learn about the Alex Jones Clip Genie made by No Agenda producers in the morning. We got a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to click through all of it. I'm not going to read it all to you because then I'll be reading it to you twice. And that's not efficient. All right, we're going to click this one and this one and this one. See all this stuff? I'm going to see if I can do it all in 25 minutes. Bam, bam, pow, wow. Big news day. I mean, some of this stuff is from over the weekend. But we'll start off with occult sex magic rituals for the masses. Reese report. Another one not on BANNED.VIDEO. Come back to BANNED.VIDEO. We miss you.
Whether it was fake or not, the recent Blue Origin NS-31 launch was one of the most common occult rituals practiced for public consumption. All rockets are phallic, but this one is much more apparent than most. After the phallic rocket probes the womb of space, the women on board are euphoric and elated. And after the egg-like capsule crashes to Earth, which can also be seen as a sperm fertilizing an egg, the occupants emerge transformed, reborn. This sexual symbolism is common. It is why we see so many obelisks and domes erected across the world. Breeding is a very big part of this human farm, and symbolizing the sexual act of reproduction can be seen throughout all of recorded time, including most of America's rocket history. Rockets and rituals have gone together for a long time. The father of modern rocketry, Jack Parsons, was a protege of Aleister Crowley and was known for being obsessed with magical rituals. Most famously, the Babylon working ritual, documented in 1945 and 1946, was a ritual that Jack Parsons performed with the help of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. Jack Parsons died in an explosion in his home laboratory in 1952, so he was not alive to see NASA's Apollo missions, but he would have appreciated the ritual significance of the Apollo 11 moon landing being on July 20th. The occult philosophy of Aleister Crowley, which Jack Parsons practiced, relied heavily on ancient Egyptian mythology, as did the Freemasons. And in ancient Egypt, this time of year was marked by the celebration Sopdet. It signaled the start of the new year and was linked to themes of Osiris, the god of death and rebirth,
DarkDox,
who was represented by Orion. Every year around July 20th, the heliacal rising of Sirius occurs, and in the pre-dawn sky, Orion can be seen right next to Sirius. These are the dog days of summer, named after the dog star Sirius, and it is the season of celebration for Bohemian Grove. This time of year was so important to the ancient Egyptians, it was memorialized in the alignment of the 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Officially, the first moon landing took place on July 20th, and before stepping onto the moon, Buzz Aldrin conducted a private communion ceremony. a Masonic ritual akin to the Egyptian rites of Osiris. The Viking 1 was originally scheduled to land on Mars on July 4th, 1976, America's bicentennial, but ended up landing 16 days later on July 20th. Osiris symbolism is woven into the patches of NASA's most iconic missions. NASA, which has become known as Never a Straight Answer for its infamous history of deception, has been accused by many of faking the Apollo moon missions. And with the recent disclosures of exotic propulsion technologies, the archaic rocket seems to best satisfy the purposes of dramatic sexual occult rituals presented to the public. The recent Blue Origin rocket launch was not on July 20th, but it was during the time of another deity tied to death, rebirth, and renewal. Ishtar, goddess of ancient Babylon. Worship of Ishtar involved sex magic, which was practiced during the Babylonian New Year festival, Akitu, celebrated
DarkDox.
in March and April when the world is reborn in the spring. The apparent sexual symbolism and the all-female crew acting out a dramatic transformation are definitely the hallmarks of earthbound occult rituals. They use sympathetic and psychological magic to shape the consciousness of the human masses. The fakeness of it all only gives it more attention, which these rituals require. And as humanity is herded into the brave new age of Aquarius, the old will be exposed and destroyed to make way for the new. Greg Reese reporting.
Yeah. That was a sexy one from Greg Reese. How about that? You never know where you're going to get. Department of Government Efficiency. Great work by NSF canceling 402 wasteful DEI grants valued at 233, which is the magic number, $1 million in saving, including $1 million for anti-racist teacher leadership for statewide transformation. See the NSF update below. Grant awards will be based on merit, competition, equal opportunity, and excellence. And that was from the 18th. Oh, what do you got? Hey, Doge, get in here. Doge, oh. I need things every day from this website. Get back to work. Oh, look at this. Doge Quest now has a dangerous. The site contains harmful programs. Web Shield has detected a variety of malicious items on Doge Quest that might attempt to install harmful programs. Well, that was fun while it lasted. Can someone arrest those guys already? So this is from some No Agenda producers. We have noticed sync issues. Yeah, so they were on the American Journal this morning with Rob Dew was actually filling in. Ooh, and why is your link broken? This is not good. Yeah, your ad banner for the Alex Jones store. thealexjonesstore.com/clipgenie if you're not gonna do
DarkDox.
because these guys are doing great work. And I imagine, yeah, with the amount of people wanting to use this resource. But what is this? What is alexjones.clipgenie.com? Well, using the same technology called bingit.io, where you can go to bingit.io. And they've been talking about this at the No Agenda show for a long time. It's the No Agenda search. So they use the same technology. You can search, like if I want to search Fauci, right, from No Agenda, it's going to pull up all of the times Fauci was mentioned, what episode number, the artwork, view the show, mentioned 2 times, mentioned once on this episode. So, you know, that's how they do it over there. But No Agenda's audio only. They had to upgrade their systems to use MP4s and then use AI to create transcripts of the episodes and then feed those transcripts into the BANNED.IO software database, so that way you can create a search engine. So now I'll type Fauci into alexjones.clipgenie.com. It's looking for the results, and same thing. Full show, how many times it was mentioned. You can view the show, and then here's the transcript. And at 11 minutes and 17 seconds to 11 minutes and 52 seconds, here's the text transcript. This is my first time using it, so you can see how user-friendly it is. And you can unfilter, and then you can create a clip, and you can share. So you can share to that link, or let's create a clip. Make a clip, you have to select at least 10 words. Okay, okay. So I select it. Oh, Fauci, just like he did 2017, said, oh, I'm afraid there will be a new deadly virus out of China. Let's try a sentence and clip it. No. Subtitle position, you can choose bottom center. Okay. Words per subtitle, 5, so you can change how many words are in each subtitle. And here's the prepare the, can I watch it first, or here's a sample image. Okay, so prepare the clip. This is exciting. Give it up, everyone, for Data Battle Z for doing our intros and our clips. This is going to be a great resource for all your shorts, bruh. All right, it's done. Play.
Oh, Fauci, just like he did in 2017, said, oh, I'm afraid there'll be a new deadly virus out of China.
That's perfect. So now I can share the link, and then there's a Clip Genie link. You can copy the URL, so that's easy. Or let's download the clip. And just like that, it's already downloaded. And then I can bring it into the show I'm doing right now.
Fauci, just like he did in 2017, said, oh, I'm afraid
and there you go.
There'll be a new deadly virus out of China.
That's fantastic. Good job, guys. So, fix your header image, because what is it? I'm going to copy the link address. So, no, not the link address, the image. Copy image address. So guys, aj-add-horizontal.jpg is broken. Now you know. Yeah, very cool. Link in the description for that. I'm going to be using the hell out of that. But yeah, when they do fix that banner, or just go, it's Clip Genie, AlexJones.com. No, thealexjonesstory.com/Clip Genie. There, I did a trailer for you. Let's see what we got here. Alex Jones breakdown globalist Pope Francis. Oh yeah, this is just for the show, but I wanted to get this in the bucket. Here's Klaus Schwab going, Sieg Heil! You guys are all fascists. Get in here, fascists. Oh, Fauci hit me again. These people are savage. Delta jet burst into flames in Orlando airport. Delta said that the plane, an Airbus 330, had 282 passengers on board, as well as 10 flight attendants and 2 pilots. Jeez Louise. Wow.
Holy shit. Get out. Is that behind it? Is that not the plane? Can't see it though. Can't.
John Mulaney has that bit.
The wing?
It's Delta Airlines and life is a fucking nightmare. Yeah. Well, I hope everyone's alright. Jeez. Let's see. There were no reports of injuries. The fire was contained and is out, spokesperson said. Did they say why? Not yet. This is a developing story.
Anybody who's halfway informed about health and vitality knows that turmeric is one of the top super nutrients in the world.
Yeah, get that turmeric. Soros ignites new race war psyop in Dallas, Bound reports.
Hats off to Patrick Howley at Patrick Reports for an explosive deep dive into the shadowy dealings surrounding the Carmelo Anthony case. What's unfolding in Dallas is a textbook example of left-wing manipulation, with billionaire George Soros's fingerprints all over it. The Next Generation Action Network, a radical activist group, is at the heart of this controversy, and their ties to Soros-funded organizations are impossible to ignore. But for those of you new to the story, somehow, Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old accused of first-degree murder after fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet, is being propped up as a victim of racist society.
What do you hope to see with this trial? Do you hope to see him walk free or go to jail?
If you ask like a personal opinion, I just want to be home regardless.
You want to be home even if he did it, you want to be home?
Like I said, bro, I see people that look like me get incarcerated for everything.
You don't care if he did it or not?
Me personally? Nah. Me personally, I don't care.
Released on reduced bond by a self-proclaimed DEI judge, Anthony's now lounging in a gated Texas community, bankrolled by a suspicious Help Carmelo official fund that's raked in over $450,000 on Give, Send, Go. The donations, as Patrick Howley and the Dallas Express uncovered, reek of coordination, identical messages, similar amounts dropping at all hours. Leading the charge is Dominique Alexander.
All of the funds that were raised on the GoFundMe were all fraud.
The Next Generation Action Network's founder, who is stoking the racial flames with hashtags like hashtag AmeriKKK and hashtag colonialism.
So after today, I just want the media to know, and I want the public to know, I don't care what you say about me. I've been in this thing for 11 years. I am tried, tested, and proven. I'm gonna just say, I'm from Oak Cliff. Worser things have been said about me, baby. You ain't gotta inbox me, you ain't gotta tell me. I am the first person to tell my testimony.
Alexander has a rap sheet that includes a guilty plea for injuring his ex-girlfriend's 2-year-old child in 2008. In 2016, he helped lead a Dallas protest that ended in Micah Xavier Johnson's ambush, killing 5 police officers. Alexander's press conference was a total disaster. They kicked out Metcalf's father, a man who had forgiven Carmelo Anthony for the murder of his son. The Next Generation Action Network's funding is a labyrinth of leftist cash. IRS filings reveal they've been paid by at least 3 Soros-linked groups. The Tides Foundation, BVM Capacity Building Institute, and Resist Incorporated. Tides, a Soros-backed slush fund, dropped $25,000 on Alexander's group in 2023 for, quote, equity and human rights, end quote. BVM Capacity Building Institute, flush with $12 million from Soros's empire, funneled $7,500 to Next Generation in 2023 and $51,000 to their sister, the NGAN Foundation, in 2021. Resist Incorporated, another Soros beneficiary, chipped in $7,000 in 2022. Alexander's group has also dodged accountability with revoked tax-exempt status for failing to file proper 990s under multiple aliases. What we're seeing is a deliberate push to inflame racial tensions and turn a murder case into a national flashpoint.
This is a psyop. They want people to go, hey, we're going to peacefully protest in Frisco, Texas. And then they're going to have their agitators there, just like they had their agitators in Charlottesville.
Soros and his network are orchestrating yet another summer of unrest, which gives all of us the uneasy gut feeling of a massive distraction to cover something far more nefarious than a manufactured race war. John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
I gotta go, Steven!
The 8th coin in the limited.
So this is so brazen. Like, that spokesperson, why aren't you in jail? Why? I mean, with all of those charges and you being tied to all of them, I think we need to bring you in for questioning. And that kid's a murderer. He confessed to it, so what are we doing? Take all that money, give it to the dad, and that's it. Fauci raked in $3.5 million in the first year of his retirement from government. Former White House Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci has been raking in the cash since he retired from government. The year he retired, he pulled an approximate $3.5 million, cashing in on the fame he garnished during the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a financial disclosure obtained by government watchdogs. Open the books. So, can we arrest him and take that money and give it to the families of, people who died in nursing homes in New York City because of mismanagement and malpractice? I just came up with that from the top of my head. You guys, it's your job. Like, do better. Pope Francis' burial plans differ drastically from his predecessors. Get a video?
Pope, which has been a closed-door process since the year 1059 and has long sparked the public's imagination. Most recently, Hollywood dipped its toe into exploring the shrouded ceremony that takes place under Michelangelo's fresco of the Last Judgment with the film Conclave. Now, with the passing of Pope Francis, all eyes are on the Catholic Church once again as it prepares to choose a new leader. When a pope dies or resigns, a special group of cardinals, called the College of Cardinals, convenes at the Vatican from all over the world. The members of this group have all been chosen by the Pope and don distinctive red robes as they prepare for the papal conclave. This process usually begins 15 to 20 days following the death of a pope. Technically, any Roman Catholic man can be elected as pope, but in reality, only one of the 252 cardinals at the conclave will be chosen. When it comes to the vote itself, a maximum of 120 are allowed to participate, and they have to be under the age of 80. They are known as the cardinal electors, and they better be ready to say goodbye to their cell phones.
And they must be shielded from all news that may influence their judgment. You understand?
These 120 electors take a Latin oath of absolute
So they're willfully ignorant?
before
That
sealing
sounds good.
themselves off from any outside influence. Each cardinal votes by secret ballot at the Sistine Chapel, saying a prayer as they drop their twice-folded vote into a large chalice. 4 rounds of voting take place every day until a candidate receives 2/3 of the vote. If no one receives the needed 2/3 of the vote, the ballots are burned with a mix of chemicals to produce black smoke. This black smoke signals to the outside world that a new pope has not been secured in the latest round of voting. When a cardinal does receive the necessary votes and he accepts the election, the ballots of the final round are burned with chemicals to produce white smoke, signaling to the world that a new pope has been chosen. The bells of St. Peter are also rung. The senior cardinal deacon announces on the balcony of St. Peter's, "Habeas Papam," meaning, "We have a pope." Then the newly elected head of the Catholic Church, who will have chosen a new name, comes out to bless the city of Rome. When it comes to how long the conclave will take, history tells us it can last anywhere from 24 hours, as was the case with Pope Francis in 2013, to 3 years, which is how long the election lasted in the year 1268. Luckily, at least according to conclave actor John Lithgow, the cardinals' frocks come with some serious perks.
Lizzie, dear friend, you are extraordinary. And Honestly, I missed that costume. Yeah. At lunch on
I like
set,
when he was
that
on Dexter.
cassock was so
He was all like,
roomy
"Shut up,
and
cunt."
forgiving. Going for seconds was never a problem.
And hey, if you might not see the public for 3 years, comfort is key.
Well, that was actually kind of
My
informative.
message
Thank you for that.
is simple. No matter how
What
powerful
outlet is
you are,
this?
no matter how much money you think you may have,
Oh, New York Post. That was good. Good job. Learned a couple things. None of that shit's in the Bible, so y'all are fake and stupid anyway. Washington Middle School wrestling coach charged in felony sexual exploitation case involving 14-year-old student. Charges include first-degree possession of depictions of a minor engaged in sexually explicit conduct and first-degree viewing of such depictions. You gross wood chipper. What's his name? Auburn, Washington. Daniel Ralph Lee, 64. Let's take a look at this guy. See, it pisses me off. You know, you look at this, like, show his face. I don't need to see pictures, stock photo of a handcuff or the outside of a building or some sirens on a car or a cartoon of some sirens on a car. Washington State Middle School coach accused of sinning. I mean, why are they protecting this guy? He should be crucified in the court, in between all the houses. Let the crows pick his eyes out. What are we doing? We're protecting this asshole? Well, at least we know his name. Sometimes, like in Britain, they don't even. They're like, they don't say what race they are. They just say if it's a man from this town. Like, and that's all you get. Like, don't protect these people. Pope Francis dies at 88. Vatican announces. We knew that. These are in no particular order, as you can see. Trump stands strongly behind Pete Hegseth. Yeah, apparently there's more Signalgate. And he had this to say on C-SPAN.
What do you want to say, sir, about the Signal chat controversy?
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, no, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with axes to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs with my kids. Thank you very much. Have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting on the same page all the way. Come on, guys.
Yeah, so, well done, Hegseth. Very funny. I mean, stop using Signal, though. He will have an account for the crimes he committed. Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano publishes a scathing response to new Trump Pope Francis death. I'm fading fast, guys. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to look more into him, but Doesn't matter, he's dead. SCOTUS to hear a religious expression case on allowing explicit LGBTQIA PPK plus books in school. The parents argue that requiring their young children to participate in instruction contrary to their parents' religious convictions violates free exercise clause. I mean, why are we can't be showing them pornography in school? Like, you know, sure, when you're like 14,
there's a lot of amazing T-shirt designs out there,
just needs to
but
be
this is an art masterpiece, and boy, does it send a message. Elon Musk with the chainsaw. Exclusive.
There's 2 genders, 2 sexes. Joe Bannister uncovers IRS 1040 scam, John Bound report.
But illegal immigrants can steal IDs and then file for over and get payments for child tax credits fraudulently, never get prosecuted. Explain how this can happen.
Well, you and your guest, Laura, were talking a lot about the deep state earlier in your show, and I would propose that the IRS is the original deep state operation.
One of those things that we identified they want to spend billions of dollars on is to hire 87,000 more IRS agents. Imagine an army of IRS agents coming after the bank accounts of hardworking families.
Joseph R. Bannister, a former IRS Criminal Investigation Division special agent, has blown the whistle on an IRS fraudulently collecting federal income tax from Americans through a scheme he calls the 1040A scam. After resigning in 1999, Bannister spent over 25 years exposing what he alleges is systemic IRS fraud, including the manipulation of internal computer systems to assess taxes, penalties, and interest against individuals who have not voluntarily filed tax returns. Bannister argues that IRS notices referencing Form 1040A in cases where no such form was filed serve as evidence of this fraud, as the agency falsely inputs data to create tax liabilities. Bannister asserts that most Americans are not legally required to file federal income tax returns or pay income tax, citing the absence of a law imposing liability on the average American since 1916. He points to the IRS's own publications, which state that only those liable for a tax must file a return, and notes that federal law primarily imposes income tax liability on non-resident aliens and foreign corporations. The 1916 Supreme Court decision in Brushaber versus Union Pacific Railroad Company limited the scope of the 16th Amendment, ensuring that subsequent tax laws excluded average Americans from liability, a structure Bannister claims was intentional to maintain constitutional compliance. The 1040A scam involves the IRS allegedly inputting fraudulent codes into its computer systems, specifically referencing Form 1040A, to create the appearance that individuals requested the IRS to calculate their tax liability. Bannister provides evidence from his own case where IRS notices and individual master file transcripts referenced a Form 1040A he never filed. He explains that the IRS uses the unique feature of Form 1040A, which allows filers to request tax calculations by the IRS to justify fraudulent assessments. This pattern, he claims, has been repeated against millions of Americans, even after Form 1040A was discontinued in 2018, with notices morphing to reference a non-existent Form 1040A. Bannister calls for further investigation into the IRS's archaic computer systems, which he believes are maintained to perpetuate this fraud. He suggests that the IRS's reliance on outdated technology and reluctance to provide IMF transcripts via FOIA requests conceal the scam's mechanics. Bannister urges Elon Musk, President Trump, and the Doge fraud hunters to probe the IRS's internal programming for evidence of fraudulent data manipulation. Comparing the 1040A scam to other alleged government deceptions, Bannister argues that the IRS's actions fit a broader pattern of misleading the public, defrauding Americans of trillions over decades.
While most Americans had to write a big fat check to the government today to pay their taxes, over 100,000 federal workers are not paying their taxes. In 2021, the IRS found that almost 150,000 federal workers owe about $1.5 billion in unpaid taxes. Over 5,000 of them work at the IRS and owe $50 million in overdue taxes.
John Bound reporting for InfoWars.
I get the employee discount. I don't have to. I work at the IRS. But yeah, I mean, taxation is theft. It's an unapportioned, unconstitutional tax, and you have no liability to pay income tax unless you are a foreign national or you have, you've acquiesced in one way or another, like through an S corp, and you're using their services. Look into the bylaws. Watch America, Freedom to Fascism. I bet they have it on BANNED.VIDEO. America, Freedom to Fascism. Yeah. Why you gotta click it twice?
McVeigh, and we were told that he
got removed from there.
There's a lot of amazing T-shirt designs out there, but this is an art masterpiece, and boy, does it send a message.
You can find it on Rumble. I'm just curious if we have it. Freedom to fascism. You don't have it either. Rumble.com. America. Freedom to fascism. There we go. You want the second one. Truth Seekers Worldwide. Good job.
Had my first job, and I think
it's a good copy of it. Awesome. It was the most festive Holy Week in the White House history. Grand finale today with Easter egg roll. This feels so good. This feels way better than having, these bunnies chasing Biden and telling him where to go. And he's like, this is nice. Did we get a video? A little video? Be nice. We don't get too many nice things around these parts. Here in the
DarkDox.
Kristi Noem robbed during Easter dinner in DC. You see what I'm saying? Her bag also had her driver's license, passport, DHS bag, makeup, checks, medication, and keys in it. She is the Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem. Had her bag with $3,000 cash. Damn, lady. Inside, it was stolen while at dinner in Washington, D.C. on Sunday. Her bag had all those things. Footage is being reviewed by Secret Service. Yeah, D.C., man. It's... Even if it's not targeted, like the crime there is awful. Oh yeah, it's a Democrat. Yeah, Democrat-run city. Yeah. Jury convicts Renovario Biosciences founder of orchestrating murder for hire of his former business partner. Wow. By Tyler Durden here at the Zero Hedges. A federal jury on Friday convicted former Enoxian Biosciences, now Revario, scientific founder, innovator, and former largest shareholder at Shirhat Gumuko of orchestrating the 2018 murder for hire of his former business partner in Vermont, according to VTdigger.com. Sheesh. That needs more investigation. Trans activist calls for J.K. Rowling's hanging, deface Nelson Mandela statue after UK Supreme Court ruling. Y'all crazy. Democrat judge caught harboring suspect Tren de Agua gang member. I mean, I don't know why they're blowing this guy so hard. And then, like, they tried to say, like, that knuckle tattoo was fake or whatever, but it was like they were just explaining how it's, like, MS-13, like, each thing represents. See if I got a clip of that. Fort McCoy garrison commander who refused to display photos of President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has now been suspended. Fire these people. You're too nice. You're too nice. Anti-Trump therapist arrested for vandalizing Tesla in Jewish New York City neighborhood claims she is living in terror. I mean, this shit just keeps going on. The swattings continue, by the way. You know, we're just like not covering it anymore because it's not hitting the news at all. But yeah, the swattings are ongoing, and now the father of that slain kid that got stabbed in the heart by that other kid, he got swatted. So I don't know if that made it to today's news, but are you serious? El Salvador offers to swap Venezuelan deported from U.S. for political prisoners held in Venezuela. I'm sorry, but they all fell in the wood chipper. I'm so sorry. Illegal alien arrested in Tennessee after impregnating 11-year-old girl he met on Facebook. The face just says it all. I mean, it looks like the fucking Night Stalker. Wood chipper. El Paso Walmart shooter expected to plead guilty to avoid death penalty. Patrick Cruzes has already been sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences in federal court after pleading guilty in 2023. See, Doge, get in here. We can save so much money if instead of having all of these consecutive 90, we can cut them down to one wood chipper. Get back to work. Got it. Why did I have this twice? Occult sex matches rituals for the masses. That's the one with Katy Perry.
Part of this modern raising of Sirius occurred.
I don't know why I have that twice. Border czar Tom Homan on ABC's This Week calls out leftist Senator Chris Van Hollen for a trip to El Salvador defending an illegal immigrant. Why are they blowing these people? Like, stop. It's embarrassing. Either, die standing up or you live on your knees. These guys are choosing the latter. Got a video? What's Tom Homan have to say about this?
Senator Van Hollen has obviously got a chance to meet with him, but he had to travel to El Salvador to get any information. Does that concern you at all? I mean, these are people sent by the United States, and not even a U.S. senator could get any information about his whereabouts or the condition of his incarceration without actually going down and making the trip to El Salvador himself?
Well, he obviously knew his whereabouts because he went there to see him. But what bothers me more than that is a U.S. senator traveled to El Salvador on taxpayer dime to meet with an MS-13 gang member, public safety threat terrorist. I mean, in the meantime, the day before he traveled, an illegal alien was arrested for murder, were released to the streets rather than honoring an ICE detainer in his very own state. What concerns me is Van Halen never went to the border the last 4 years on Joe Biden. What shocks me is he's remained silent on the travesty that happened on our southern border. Many people died. Thousands of people died. I've met with hundreds of angel moms and dads who buried their children that were murdered by an illegal alien. How many angel moms and dads has he met in the state of Maryland? That's what concerns me.
He says that he has done this because the issue here is due process.
Yep. Well, again, these deportations, like, if we just kill them, they're gonna be, they're mad anyway. You see what I'm saying? Like, no half measures. Man dies after suspect butchers him with hatchet while waiting at Arizona bus stop. Wood chipper. You see? It simplifies everything. It's streamlined. It's elegant. Putin confirms end of Easter truce. Large-scale fighting resumes. So, you know. Not my country, not my problem. That's what I say. Transgender Brazilian lawmaker slams Trump's hatred and fixation after U.S. visa detransition her to male. I'm going to have to read that headline 8 times to wrap my head around it. Lastly, New York judge resigns after alleged Tren de Agua member found living in his home. Gay! That concludes today's episode. Come back down to outer space. If you like what we do, CASH.APP/DarkDox. Try the supplements from thealexjonesstore.com/DarkDox. And I'm taking tomorrow off. As I mentioned, we're going to, I'm thinking Mondays and Wednesdays, and maybe you get a Friday if you're good. But you guys have been terrible lately, so please subscribe, smash that like button, share, help out, support the broadcast. Do your part. I'm doing my part. Let's all do this together. I love all of you. Beware. Take care. Bye-bye.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest. If you value this program, donate what you can at CASH.APP/DarkDox. DarkDox, digest. DarkDox, digest.